daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome back to the Daily Southampton part of the Global Sports Podcast Network. My name is Greg Elliott, flying solo today because unfortunately at our scheduled time of recording, the internet was down, all of it. Cloudflare had all sorts of issues and we were unable to record. So flying solo tonight with a shorter episode, but sticking with the daily theme. It's still the international break. We're still bereft of news from the club. It's almost like an eerie radio silence. But despite that, I've got some things to talk about and some things to think about. So let's just get straight into it. It would be remiss of me not to mention, despite not being primarily Saints news, Scotland's qualification for the World Cup for the first time in 28 years. Unbelievable scenes. Unbelievable game. Crazy the way it played out. I know that there's often a rivalry between England and Scotland, but I mean, I personally enjoy seeing all the home nations do well, and just fascinating to see it play out. Obviously, from a Saints perspective, Shea Adams coming on off the bench and Højbjerg starting for Denmark in that game that sort of finished up 4-2. But, I mean, fair play to Scotland. I think it's unbelievable. It's brilliant for them. You love to see it. And, you know, I was talking yesterday in the show about how it's that part of the tournament football that excites me, when those fans that are going to become the exciting part of the tournament get to go and do it and to be a part of it. And Scotland are going to tick that box for sure. There's going to be some entertaining, lively stuff in the World Cup. And just absolutely fair play. Good stuff. Good stuff indeed. Other than that, slim pickings from the club. We didn't talk about it on the show, but it did come out that almost confirmation that we won't be signing Yler at the end of his loan deal, and in fact that he may well be recalled off his loan. Now, I don't know if that's, based off of performance or what, really. We've not seen a lot of him, but he's been out with injury as well. It could be fitness levels, it could be anything, but it's fascinating to me where it's a position that we're struggling with so much for it to come out. This is now the second time it's come out that they won't be activating his €8.5 million option to buy. But this is the first time it's come out that we might terminate his loan with Galatasaray in January. It's just a shame. It's one of those smears that's going to go against Sports Republic when we look back on the transfer window. And I don't think it's necessarily because he's a bad player, because from what we've seen of him on the pitch, he looked promising to me, like a decent enough fullback. But it's another one of those signings of promise that hasn't worked out for Sports Republic that we've talked a lot about. And it will be interesting in the upcoming transfer window in January if we see them double down on that policy and on those guns, stick to their guns in that respect, or if, we've seen the rumours of players like Ward-Prowse coming back, and obviously we've seen Romeu come back into the club. We wonder if that's a turn that they take and start trying to bring in experience to help bolster up the youth and the promise that they've signed. It's adding a lot of intrigue to what is clearly going to shape up to be a fascinating January window. We've got such a congested set of fixtures coming up. There's still uncertainty with the manager, which I will get to and talk about later on in the show. But I think it's something like 17, just a crazy amount of games coming up before the end of the year. And it will be interesting to see how that shapes the need for action in the January transfer window. Because, we could go on a really good run now, and then all of a sudden it becomes a much more real prospect that we're still going to be pushing for promotion, because I feel like within the club that is still the target, despite this setback and despite where we're at the moment. The target is still to go up this season. So, if we go on that run, how much backing do we get in that window? So it's like 9 league games between now and the end of the year. In 6 weeks, it's crazy. And then January also continues to come thick and fast, right? We've got fixtures on New Year's Day, and then straight after, Thursday into Sunday, it's non-stop. So then, what our target becomes in the January transfer window, it really becomes a fascinating picture. It looks, are we going to have this situation where we're still trying to reduce what we've often called, a still rather bloated squad? Are there going to be players that leave? Players like Samir Dozy and Joe Aribo, who have been on the fringe but looking to leave. Are they actually going to get their move and go? It's going to be one to keep an eye on, and how it plays out is going to be such an interesting, it's such a pivotal window for Sports Republic, with all of the focus, rightly or wrongly, on them. It's going to be pivotal for them to do well, and it'll be fascinating to see whether they balance it with experience and youth, or we see a fire sale, or we see a panic and we bring in loads of more players than we need. It's going to be interesting. I think from a fan's perspective and a fan's opinion, we need a striker who can score goals more consistently. I know I've talked before how that's like a unicorn that doesn't exist, but Adam Armstrong is a good striker at championship level. Unfortunately, he needs 3 or 4 chances to score the one. We've seen that time and time again. We saw that in the last championship season. That's not a secret. We need someone with a better hit rate. Maybe a more than 50% hit rate is where we need to be aiming at. And what that looks like and who that player is, I don't know. But I think that, and are we going to sign a goalkeeper? I just don't know if we will. But it is a concern. It is something that we talk about almost every week on the show as the position of concern. So, yeah, there's lots of different paths and lots of ways that this January window is already shaping up to be one of the more interesting things coming up for the club. It's just going to be really fascinating to see what they do. Right, I want to talk about the period of uncertainty. I want to talk about the manager. But let's have a little break and hear a message from our partners at Bioniq.
Your body is unique, and Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bioniq, the world's most personalised supplements. Bioniq provide 100% tailor-made supplements, designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels to optimise your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bioniq. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now. Your body.
Okay, so I am back. So it has also come out in the press, although not perhaps directly from the club, but it's very clear that Tonda Exkert is going to be in charge for this series of 3 games coming up. Against Charlton, Leicester and Millwall. Now, there's 2 very distinct ways to look at this, because these are 3 teams who are, frankly in form, right? Leicester doing very well. Millwall, superseding people's predictions, and Charlton, as we all know, well up in it at the moment, much to our sort of chagrin, and it's going to be an interesting one heading into Charlton. It's going to be an interesting atmosphere. I'm sure that the travelling away fans will have plenty of words for Nathan Jones to try and deal with that, and it'll be a fascinating atmosphere to behold. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But we talked that Tonda had bought the club time to to give himself the wiggle room to get these games without being forced to make a decision. I think the fact that they haven't gone out and made a clear statement signing of the manager, it speaks pretty clearly to me that their favourite for the job is Tonda Exkert, and these next 3 games are effectively like a dry run job interview, right? Because if he goes and gets even as many as 6 points from these 3 games, it's very hard to argue that he hasn't done enough to earn that place. And that is interesting. And there will be people that shoot that down as bad, and there will be people that shout that out as good. And I don't know if I sit in either of those camps yet. We've talked at length about who we think the next manager is going to be, and I think I've said it time and time again. There's no name on the list that jumps out and excites me. And in fact, there's not even a proper list available on the betting sites anymore. So, I mean, he's here and has an understanding of the club and has already picked up 2 wins. So, why not give it a go and see how it plays out? But the nice thing is not rushing in and giving it to him till the end of the season. He's got these 3 games to see, if that momentum continues. And 3 tough games. And that's the other thing, right? If there is someone else lined up who they'd want to bring in, is these 3 games with very little turnaround the games you want to bring them into? Because they're not going to be easy games. Charlton is going to be an atmospheric game at the Valley. There's going to be a bit of bite to it, probably. It's going to be an interesting set out, and we'll talk about that, as we get closer to it later in the week, more and more. Leicester, obviously, another relegated club who are also, fighting for survival to get back up. That's what they need to do as well. And Millwall, I mean, playing Millwall is always fighting a fair, right? None of these games are easy. I mean, there's no easy games in the Championship, but these are 3 particularly difficult ones at a particularly pivotal point of the season. And if he can go on and get 6 or 7 points from those 3 games, is that enough to get him the job permanently? I don't know. Is it enough to get him another 3 games? Probably. We've got another 3 game in 7-day period straight after that, where we've got Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday again. So, he's bought the club the option by doing as well as he's done in the short period he's had. And look, while he's here, he has my full support. And if he's going to keep winning, happy days. What more can you really ask for? It's definitely going to be the case more than for any other manager that the results are what really counts here. We're not at a position in the season now where we can go, but we're performing well and we're getting there. This is put up or shut up time, because this is the serious business end of the season, right? This tight set of fixtures running into Christmas and the New Year, we know it's the busiest time for football, and we need to be kicking on. And if he doesn't get those results and loses 2, draws 1, and we're still dragging our heels about a manager, then that noise around the board and the decisions they're making is only going to grow and grow and get louder and louder, and that's a position they really don't want to be putting themselves into. So it's a tricky position they've got themselves in, where there are not a lot of right answers, and a lot of the right answers are very dependent on the results and if they come. So, let's hope that they do, and let's hope Tonda just doesn't lose another game until the end of the season. I think every Saints fan would be happy with that, and would be united behind that as a decision in that scenario. But it's going to be tight. It's going to be interesting. And, we have to face the reality of the position we're in. Zach talks a lot. One of his favourite sayings on the show is, maybe we're just not as good as a lot of us think we are or think we should be. And maybe that is the case. But, I mean, I also don't think we're as bad as where we are in the table suggests. I think the right answer is probably somewhere in the middle, but to even get back to that middle point, this is where we need to start putting it in and getting those results to show it. If we get 7 points from these 3 particularly tough games and push ourselves on and push ourselves up, obviously all of the other teams play as well, but 7 points on top of where we are gets us into 5th or 6th based on the table at the moment. Even with other teams playing, that's probably enough to push us up to 8th, 9th, and then we're sort of almost tantalisingly close to where we're aiming for. So, and then it comes thick and fast again, right? Birmingham into West Brom into Norwich in a 7-day period. It's just the games start coming and they don't stop coming, and we just need to be pushing on at this point. It's such an unfortunate part of the season to have this uncertainty. This is the point we needed to be settled and kicking in for, and having this uncertainty hanging over our heads. I just hope it doesn't come back and bite us and cost us, but we will have to wait and see. Right, that unfortunately is all that I have time for today. Slim pickings news-wise from the club, I am afraid, but we will be back tomorrow with a much more structured and much more prepared episode with something that's a bit of fun, and I can't wait to bring it to you. Thank you very much for joining me today and listening. Let me know in the comments on the socials, what do you think? Is it too much dilly-dallying? Do they need to make a decision? Is it going to cost us in the long run to faff around and change at this point in the season when things are so congested? Let me know, what is the right answer? I would love to hear it. Let me know in the comments, on the socials. We're on all of them. X, TikTok, Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, everywhere. Hit us up, let us know. We love hearing from you. Like I say, we will be back tomorrow with something that's a bit of fun. But until then, thank you everyone for listening, and have a wonderful day.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.